House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is doing some cleanup tonight after he questioned whether Donald Trump is the best Republican presidential candidate who can win in 2024.
Could he win an election?
Can he win that election? Yeah, he can.
You think he can?
The question is he the strongest to win the election? I don't know that answer.
That answer did not sit well with Donald Trump's allies and sent the speaker into damage control mode today. Not long after he had that interview on CNBC, McCarthy rushed to make clear his loyalty to the former president, saying in another interview with Breitbart that he believes, quote, Trump is stronger today than he was in 2016, and accusing the media of taking those comments out of context. Of course, McCarthy has a fragile majority in the House. He won his post as the House Speaker after a bruising 15 rounds of votes, in part by agreeing to a snap vote to oust him at any time. With us now for perspective on this is Colorado Republican Ken Buck. Congressman, thank you for joining us today. I wonder what you made of what Speaker McCarthy said there about whether or not Trump is the strongest candidate to win in 2024.
Well, I think he is the strongest candidate right now to win, and I'll tell you why. He has run 3 times for president. The other candidates have not run yet for president, so that gives him strength by itself. He also has a persona that he's willing to take on the tough issues. He's willing to take on the issues that a lot of conservative Americans, but other Americans care deeply about. Now, does another candidate rise and show that sort of personality, that sort of strength of character that he would be willing to take on the swamp? That's yet to be seen. And I think that's what Kevin was saying, is this is a long time that we're going to see between now and the primary elections. And so it's hard to say that Donald Trump is going to be the strongest candidate in the future. It's really a hypothetical, and it calls for speculation. But right now, Donald Trump is definitely the strongest candidate.
He is easily the front runner in the Republican race, of course, right now. But is he the strongest to win in 2024 based on his numbers with suburban women, his number with independent voters that I know you have said are so critical to winning a general election?
Yeah, I think he can win the general election, and I think that there are other Republican candidates that can win the general election. I haven't made a choice at this point, but I do think that, and obviously Donald Trump has got some legal issues that have to be resolved, and as the facts come out, if there are trials before the election, that's going to impact the perception of Donald Trump. But right now, the perception of Donald Trump among a lot of folks in America is that this is a country that's overspending and has a lot of very serious issues. And Donald Trump showed in his first term that he was willing to take on those issues. And I think that's what they're looking for, is someone we didn't want 4 more years of Barack Obama with a Hillary Clinton campaign or presidency. And we don't want 4 more years of Joe Biden. And Donald Trump appears to be the person who has the strongest personality to change that trajectory.
Congressman, you are a former federal prosecutor. You were for several years. When it comes to the tape of the former president that we have now heard, this audio recording, if you're prosecuting a case like this and you had a tape like that, how powerful do you believe that evidence is?
Well, it's not powerful in the way that a lot of people think it is, in my opinion. I don't know what document he had in his hand. And I think the critical factor is, again, I don't know the evidence, and it will come out at trial with testimony, but did someone see in red ink a classification on that document that said top secret or some other secret or some other classification? If not, then it's just the president's word. What I think is important in that audio is when the president says, I could have declassified this before, and I didn't. I can't declassify it now. That's an admission as to his mental state. That's an important element in the case, but I don't think the actual document being classified is as important, because obviously documents were found during the search at his residence in Mar-a-Lago. So he is saying in some way, I didn't declassify documents before I left office.
Yeah, and that undercuts what he has been saying publicly, of course, about this. You have said that you would not feel comfortable with a convicted felon in the White House, but would you feel comfortable with someone who, if he is in fact holding that document as it's alleged, handled national security secrets like this, given he's laughing and talking so casually about it with people who do not have security clearances?
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that there were lapses in judgment or there were opportunities to treat these documents in a more secure way. It's really baffling to me why, when the archivist contacted him and they were in negotiations, or at least his attorneys, his staff was in negotiations to return some of these documents or all the documents, why at that point he just didn't turn the documents back over. He would have had access to them in a secure facility if he wanted to have access at some point in time in the future. So I don't, there are a lot of questions that I think need to be answered before we can make a judgment about just how comfortable Americans should be with the president handling classified material this way.
But you think this is all self-inflicted, is what it sounds like.
I do think it's self-inflicted. I do think that, I was a prosecutor for 25 years. I know when I handle classified documents, I had to go into a special room. I couldn't have my phone with me. In more recent times, we didn't have those kind of phones all the time, but I didn't have my phone with me. I didn't have the ability to take a document out. I don't even have the ability to take notes and take the notes away with me. So there's sort of this training that Donald Trump never went through, but training that tells people this is so important that you can't violate this set of rules. And again, a lot of it's going to go to what proof Jack Smith has of the president's mental state.
Yeah, we'll see what other evidence is in his possession. Congressman Ken Buck, thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.